Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Thursday, October the 19th, 2023, and this is program number 1075 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calixte George Jr. In addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can get us at our website, rcixstlucia.com. You're streaming there as well as on YouTube. Just search for Radio Caribbean International YouTube. And of course, please like and share that link as well with your friends and family. If you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046, as well as our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. You can call in as well as messaging in to that WhatsApp number. Again, it is 724-0008. Now, it is the 75th birthday or anniversary of the International Credit Union movement. It's International Credit Union Day today. And we are going to be talking to some representatives of the St. Lucia Cooperative Credit Union League in just a bit. But first, let me send out some birthday wishes for today, going out to Mr. Mario Myers. Happy birthday to you, sir, and we do hope that you're having a wonderful day. It's also the birthday of former House Speaker, Mrs. Leon Theodore John. Happy birthday to you, and we do hope that you're having an absolutely fantastic birthday celebration. Also sending birthday greetings out to Miss Ashley Daniel. Happy birthday, and we hope that you're having a splendid birthday. And also to Miss Joyce Stephen. Happy birthday to you as well. And we do hope that you're enjoying your very special day. And a bit of history for today. In the year 1722, the French C. Kopfer, that was his name, patented the automatic fire extinguisher. In 1781, on this day, British forces under General Charles Cornwallis signed the terms of surrender to George Washington and Count de Rochambeau, and that happened at Yorktown, ending the U.S. Revolutionary War. 1943, on this day, streptomycin, the first antibiotic remedy for tuberculosis, is isolated by researchers at Rutgers University. And in 2015, on this day, U.S. scientists from the University of California find evidence of life on Earth, which may have begun as far back as 4.1 billion years ago, 300 million years earlier than previously thought. We now move on to our...
Mr. Calixte, how dare you? Today is the 19th.
Oh, is it
Morris Bishop?
Morris Bishop, yes, of course. And
1983.
Yes, and it was also the day of the Grenada Revolution, right? This is what it is.
That's
Yes. He was the day he was assassinated, yes. and of course, yes. So we missed that one. Sorry about that. We so many things to take in.
I know.
But that one is certainly, especially for, of course, all the fans of Mr. Morris Bishop out there, of course, and the Grenada Revolution, which occurred over 40 years now, in 1983. So, yes, certainly. And we now move on to our dish of the day, where we're going to be speaking about credit unions. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries. Bosses, you Grizzly, and Slack Street in Dufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, as we just mentioned, it is International Credit Union Day. It's the 75th anniversary of this particular moment. And of course, it's been happening since 1948. And the credit union movement certainly has grown tremendously in St. Lucia. Perhaps one would say it certainly has kicked into high gear over the past 2 decades or so. And to really tell us about the movement and its importance to economic development, its importance to society. I'm so very pleased to have two representatives of the St. Lucia Cooperative Credit Union League, in the person none other than the president, Mrs. Martina Belize, as well as Mr. Daniel Jean-Baptiste, who is also a past director of the Credit Union League and is also the assistant treasurer of the Monrepo and East Coast Credit Union. Is that the
Monrepo Eastern?
Monrepo Eastern Credit Union, Cooperative Credit Union. Thank you so very much for joining us here at the Lunchroom. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Calixte.
Now, why should this day be important to the average St. Lucian right about now?
Well, the average St. Lucians are members of cooperatives. I think credit unions are practically in every household in St. Lucia. So basically, it is for us to create awareness. While we have quite a bit of people who are members of credit unions, you're looking at in excess of 132,000 persons, we know that there is always room for growth. So it's important to recognize this day. It's important to recognize the meaningful contribution that credit unions make throughout various communities. So in essence, it is a given that this day be recognized.
Now, we've seen some tremendous growth, I think, in terms of credit unions, and quite often we see some very notable entities. A lot of people think of, for instance, the Labrie Credit Union being one of the strongest ones. The Monrepo Eastern Credit Union is a fairly newer one. I think also on the West Coast, there's also been a newer entity coming on board. But we've also seen a fair bit of collaboration as well, and that the strengthening of that Cooperative Credit Union League. Tell us about that journey of credit unions actually cooperating within themselves.
Well, one of the key principles of cooperatives is cooperation among credit unions, or cooperation among cooperatives. And we're a family. We look out for each other. And that is why the league is there, in order to get credit unions to collaborate, to get credit unions to share best practice, to get credit unions to help each other, because you have the bigger and stronger credit unions helping the not so big. So we have medium and small. And when we have, for instance, quarterly management meetings, or we have meetings of delegates, you find that persons would share best practices. If a credit union is struggling, that is why the league is there, to help in whatever way possible. So whatever happens with individual credit unions is no secret. We know each other's secret, basically.
And it's interesting that you're saying so, because Mr. Jean-Baptiste, you're coming from a particular credit union. It's obviously wants to encourage more individuals. It's also in a part of St. Lucia that does not have a lot of banking services, financial services, and no doubt you're trying to carve out a really important service for individuals on the East Coast.
Yes, we are, but as our president indicated, the cooperation among cooperatives, we have something you might consider. I don't think competition might be the exact word to use, but even if it's competition, it's friendly competition. So while every credit union wants to succeed, but it's also important that our sister credit unions succeed also. And as she indicated, that's why you'll see a lot of collaboration happens between the different credit unions. I mean, I do not really want to go in depth in this, but for example, now you'll see that the Monrepo Eastern Cooperative Credit Union is actually helping out the West Coast Credit Union, because we know the importance of, like you said, bringing those financial services to persons who might otherwise be deemed unbankable. So that is one of the strength of the credit union in terms of being the league also assist in what we call shared services. For example, the debit cards. A lot of the smaller credit, while we have a few credit unions in St. Lucia who could go do it alone by themselves because they have the assets and the financial might to do that. We have a few credit unions who would not be able to afford a debit card on their own. And that is where the league, that is one of the places that the league comes in, coordinates this, and able to share those services so that everybody can benefit. And as you pointed out, those in the rural district, those in isolated places, still have their credit union where they'll be able to get all the financial services that any modern financial institution will provide.
And certainly we do need to talk a lot more about that in terms of the credit unions, certainly providing services that people would normally associate with maybe banks, but certainly they're seeing that the credit unions are certainly modernizing quite a bit. And now we're celebrating 75 years of International Credit Union Day. I think the league itself has been around for nearly 46 years. Yes. We've seen tremendous change in St. Lucia since that period of time in terms of independence and people's attitudes towards cooperation, the concept of saving money, putting it under the bed, getting into a susu, those type friendly societies, mothers and fathers groups. But then yet still we've seen credit unions certainly coming in and trying to carve a space for people. Why is it important that they should not just be simply putting their money under a bed or in a susu? What's really different in terms of that credit union philosophy?
I think one of the fundamental difference with the credit union when it comes to other financial institutions is that every member has a personal stake in a credit union. And you notice I didn't say the client or the customer, I said member. Every member has a personal stake. I remember there was an ad that one of the credit unions had, and they kept saying, "You are not just our customer, you are our owners." And that is true. The members are the owners, and every one of them has a say. They are the ones that elect the officers and all of those things. So it's imperative that they embrace that and they take ownership of that, and as the credit union succeeds, they themselves are empowered. The other thing too that's also extremely important is that $1 you put in the credit union, you do not have the money up front, yes, but you need to build a house. So collectively, all those little $1 that persons put there will be able to facilitate a loan, facilitate other financial services that you might need to help you improve your standard of living, to improve your situation. So that is a very, very important reason for allowing persons to come there. You put your monies under the mattress, a rat can pass and eat it. It's not insured. At the credit union, it's secured.
I don't think any rat has eaten my money anyway, or that of my grandmother's. I would say though that you spoke about susu, friendly societies and whatnot. These are the people who formed the cooperatives. These are the people who formed the credit unions. So the history of credit unions, if you were to look at it, you would see that this is where it all started. So there would not have been so much buy-in as it pertains to the credit union movement, because these are the persons who created the credit unions or created the cooperatives. So as my colleague rightly said, they are owners. They have a personal stake. Whatever surplus, and we try not to use the word profit loosely, whatever surplus that the credit union would have had, that would be shared among the members. So based on their capital contribution. the members recognize what the credit union gives to them, what the credit union is for them, and it doesn't take us. You may notice too that credit unions don't do a lot of marketing, because it is just the culture that once you serve a member well, sometimes you do bad business and it just spreads. Good business spreads too, right? So once you serve a member well, that member brings in everybody else, because I shouldn't say every family member, because the bond is different with different credit unions. But once you have one family member, you can easily get all, and the extended family, and the children of this person's children, So that's how growth happens.
Yeah.
Indeed. Now, we're going to have to take a short pause at this point in time, because we're due for our weather report. Of course, we're hearing about Tropical Storm Tammy on the horizon. So Maureen is going to guide us through that. And then when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation as we mark the 75th anniversary of International Cooperatives Credit Union Day.
Thank you so much, Calixte. We now take a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today. And it is made possible with the compliments of Island Style Thailand Bath and, of course, Flow. Of course, your dish of the day was brought to you by Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Box, dust, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lunchroom in Castries, Osage Grove Village, and Clark Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And now for the weather report. Our weather report here is brought to you with the compliments of Flow and also Island Style.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with C&W Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, C&W Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
Island style. Oh, yeah. We got the time to make you go. Oh. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive. In Island style.
We have tiles and thin sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the house out. For the best price and the latest style, take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. Oh. We got the time to make you say, yeah. Quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Castries, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style. This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And now for a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today. It's the 19th of October 2023. Our forecast to this hour is Venantius Descartes. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing between the east, northeast and the northeast near 13 miles per hour or 20 kilometers per hour, becoming lighter and variable at times. The weather partly cloudy to cloudy at times with scattered showers and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. The marine forecast for seas in a 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia for the Castries Harbour. We are presently experiencing low tide. The high tide will be at 3 minutes before 6 this evening. Also experiencing low tide at the Vieux Bay, and the high tide will be at 4 minutes after 7 tonight. The seas are today slight with waves 2 to 4 feet, the same as 0.6 to 1.2 meters in open waters. Tonight into tomorrow, moderate to locally rough with waves of 6 to 8 feet, the same as 1.8 to 2.4 meters, mainly on the northern and eastern coast. Small craft operators and sea bathers are advised to exercise caution from tonight due to locally rough seas. Please be guided. For the Lesser Antilles, it's partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered showers and a chance of isolated thunderstorms. And now for our tropical weather outlook. A mid to upper level trough will continue to cause some cloudy periods with scattered showers and possibly isolated thunderstorms over parts of the Lesser Antilles during the forecast period. And at 11 a.m. today, the center of tropical storm Tammy was located near latitude 13.6 degrees north, longitude 55.7 degrees west, or about 425 miles or 680 kilometers east-southeast of Guadeloupe. Tammy is moving toward the west-northwest near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. A turn toward the northwest is forecast on Friday, and this motion should continue into the weekend. On the forecast track, the center of Tammy will move near or over the Leeward Islands Friday and Saturday. The maximum sustained winds are near 60 miles per hour or 95 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Gradual strengthening is expected during the next few days, and Tammy is forecast to be at or near hurricane intensity when it moves near the Leeward Islands. And tropical storm warning is in effect for Guadeloupe. Tropical storm watches have been issued for Barbados, Dominica, Martinique, Guadeloupe, and the Leeward Islands. Interests in the region are advised to monitor the progress of this system, so please be guided accordingly. All right, our next official report, of course, throughout the afternoon, we're going to be referring back to this report here again because we need to make sure that everybody has the information and is armed with it. But our next official report is due at 6:30 in the morning. If there's need to do anything before then, of course, you need to stay locked on to us, and we'll be more than happy to be reporting. Thank you very much to the forecaster for this hour, Venantius Descott. And our weather was brought to you with the compliments of Island Style Thailand Bath and Flow.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive. In Island style.
We have tiles and things, sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need to sort the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality price, service choice. It's all at Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus, Rodney Bay, on the John Crompton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with C&W Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, C&W Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And of course, we've been discussing the 75th anniversary of International Cooperative Credit Union Day. And we're discussing that with two representatives of the St. Lucia Cooperative Credit Union League, Mrs. Martina Belize and Mr. Daniel Jean-Baptiste. And a major correction on the matter of the existence of the Monroe Eastern Credit Union. In fact, it was around even before, as Mr. Jean-Baptiste was indicating to me during the break, even before the Library Credit Union. And I think perhaps what has, in my mind, I think I was confusing it with the Western West Coast Credit Union, but also I think it's fair to say that over the past couple of years, we've been seeing a lot of promotion being done by your organization, and it's certainly come into the national sphere in terms of awareness of that credit union. And I think as well, Mrs. Belize, it's fair to say that we're seeing credit unions becoming a lot more visible. We've been seeing some rebranding in some instances. I think with Janu, for instance, we've been seeing major shifts with, again, Labrie Credit Union in terms of its presence in Castries, and new premises and new buildings. We're seeing quite a lot of visibility and prominence of credit unions all over St. Lucia.
Okay, that notwithstanding, the business model remains the same. One of the things we do not want persons out there to believe is that because you see the growth, because you see possibly physical changes, that the core values of credit union would be erased or watered down. We continue to remain true to our values. The other thing we have recognized is that when you have an aging membership, and now you have to cater to the millennials, and I call them Generation XYZ, but the Gen Zs, you cannot not have these persons as members when you have an aging membership. And if you have millennials and Gen Zs forming part of your membership, you have to cater to them. They don't want to come there with a passbook. No. And for you to, write in figures for them. They want internet banking. They want a mobile app. They don't want to come in what we call a little boutique space, right? So as we grow, you would recognize too that the smaller structures we would have had would not have been able to cater to the growth in membership. So physical persons actually coming into the building. So you see credit unions moving. As credit unions continue to increase their bond, you would realize too that, for instance, let's look at my credit union teachers. As we continue to increase our bond, we're no longer serving teachers, just teachers, right? So our bond is increasing. We have to cater to people who are, geographically dispersed, just like Labrie. Labrie has increased its bond. Labrie is like practically open to everyone. So you may hear Labrie Credit Union, but Labrie has members in Castries, Labrie has members in Grosley, Labrie has members all over. So persons would probably ask, why is Labrie opening a branch in Castries? I mean, no one asked that when they were in Viewfort, because Viewfort is not that far from Labrie. But Labrie opening a branch in Castries would mean that Labrie has part of its market share in Castries. And they've been doing well catering to persons. It's convenient for their members who reside up north.
Now, it's interesting that you mentioned this, because I'm also wondering, some people have 2 and 3 and 4 bank accounts at different banks. Is the same happening in terms of the credit union space? Are you seeing people ensuring that they're becoming members of various credit unions? Is that
members by law, according to the Cooperative Act, can only be members of 2 credit unions. If they are to become a member of a third, it would have to be the regulators to approve it. So you have dual membership, but it's not, I wouldn't consider it to be very common.
Mm-hmm. So most people are really adherents to their one credit union, you would say? Yeah.
I would say so, because, sometimes the members say, I don't have so much money to spread around. I'm already in, like some of them are banking with banks, and if the more financial institutions that you are part of is more money you need to spread around. So they would basically say, I'd rather keep to this one credit union, get the services of that credit union, as against just saying that I belong to this credit union. But in terms of geographical location, before, for instance, Teachers Credit Union had a branch in Viewfort. Some teachers had dual membership because it was very convenient for them to join the Forcejac Credit Union or the Labrie Credit Union, because it is right there within the community. So different credit unions, in terms of the percentage of the members who have dual membership, it's sometimes a matter of convenience.
Right. So you may potentially be a member of a geographically based credit union, as well as maybe a sector-based or institutional-based credit union.
That's what
and that is allowed under the law.
Yes. That's what I also wanted to add. A lot of persons are very loyal to their, you say geographical base, but we usually call it community-based credit unions. Credit unions like Teachers and Civil Service or JANO had traditionally had persons from all over the island because they are not community based. But when you look at Fonse Jacques, and that time you had Saltibus, but Fonse Jacques, West Coast, Monrepos, Labrie, Suazel, all of those credit unions, their members, in some instances, fiercely loyal and based on community. But again, with those credit, it's becoming less so now because of the credit unions, so to speak, spreading their wings in other communities. So, but that was one of the reasons why you had, because of being community based, their bond was only because at the time, before they got that, if you want to call it national bond, only persons from within that community could have been a member of that particular credit union.
I see. Now, Mrs. Belize, how many credit unions are we talking about across St. Lucia? 16. And are we seeing, and in fact, I think the answer might be yes, because I do note that Mr. Jean-Baptiste did mention that his credit union is actually a merger of sorts, or an acquisition of two credit unions along the East Coast. Are we seeing that kind of shift, amalgamation of credit unions? Are we potentially looking down the road to maybe that 16 becoming maybe a smaller number of stronger credit unions?
You know, sometimes I see that, I look at credit unions sometimes as CARICOM. Everybody got in their sovereign space.
Right.
Right now, it's not something that is happening, apart from what happened with Monrepos. We don't have these stocks anymore. Once upon a time, we had these stocks. So basically, what we're doing, for instance, as a league or the Financial Services Regulatory Authority would be doing, is looking at various credit unions, auditing them, and providing whatever assistance they need first. So this is the stage we're at, where we're just, doing the audits, checking out what was happening with individual credit unions. As a league, if we have to advocate to the regulators on behalf of these credit unions that may have one or two issues, give them some time, to get their house in order and provide whatever services we can as a league, or bigger credit unions assisting, but not necessarily merging unless it's absolutely necessary to do so. So these are not the talks we're having right now. Our current talks are to look at individual credit unions and see how we can assist them.
Indeed. And of course, you did mention earlier on, Mr. Jean-Baptiste, the matter of shared services. And of course, we're knowing that is something that you're certainly pushing towards. You want to speak towards that a little bit?
When you look at certain services that credit unions would require, it may be very costly for a smaller credit union to be able to afford it. And when we speak as a league to service providers, one of the key, and let me tell you something, we get inundated with service providers wanting to cater to the demands of the league every single day, whether it is locally, regionally, and internationally. So they're always providing ways in which we can have our credit unions benefit from economies of scale. And we just jump on board when we get that, because we are always cognizant of the fact that our smaller credit unions would not be able to afford. Thereafter, we bring everybody together. So the bigger credit unions know that, because they're well placed to help the smaller credit unions, they will not hesitate to be part of that program or be part of that strategic alliance that we're trying to establish, such that the smaller ones can benefit, because we're looking at one space where we're trying to benefit all our members. So, we talk about 132,000 members. We're trying to get everybody to benefit from what the credit union model has to offer.
So, for instance, you mentioned that that card, sort of a Unicard, is that something that's available across all credit unions, or is it still, left up to the credit union to get involved and to provide that service to its members? How does that work?
You want me to respond, or I can?
Yes. Okay. Eventually, and that's the aim. Eventually, it should. It will I want to be optimistic.
We do have a
It
card.
it will be available to every member of the credit union movement. However, at this particular instance, there are 4 credit unions that share that services, namely Monrepo, Library, Teachers, and Suazel. I think Fonseca wanted to come on board, but there are certain requirements that need to be met before the person can. Because as Mrs. Belize said, you're dealing with service providers, and the service providers would have particular requirements that each credit union needs to meet before that has happened. But even with this, because there's a collaboration, because there are persons, that is one of the examples of the league actually sharing services that became successful, because there are some of the credit unions that are actually part of it right now without the I forgot to mention Denry is also on there. Okay. But without that sharing those services, wouldn't have been able to go to do it by themselves. So that again, with more credit unions, then as you know, with any cards, numbers play a very important and critical role. Now, what the aim is to go to a full international debit card. That's the next phase. And when that comes on board, a lot more credit unions, because of the services and everything, a lot more credit unions would be able to come on board.
And of course, that's so very important, as you were saying, Mrs. Belize, about the need to attract these XYZs, these millennials who really expect those kind of services to be available.
And to go even a little further, we mentioned about persons being from all communities, being in different credit unions, but we didn't mention persons from, I think they call it the diaspora, where most credit unions have St. Lucians who reside overseas, who are members and do their normal do business with that credit union on a normal basis. They take mortgages, loans, have savings, have shares, just like as if they are within.
Right.
And that is why you'll notice more credit unions now have their online banking and their mobile app. Someone met me the other day, and he just came back he was just visiting from the US, and he was telling me he was so happy that he had his card, and he didn't have to wait for the credit union to open for him, and it was a weekend for him to be able to get his money.
Right.
But he said what you'd have preferred is that with that very same card, you could have shop online, or you could have go to any ATM and be able to get that money, and he didn't have to come back. That was somebody from Monrepo. Actually, have to come to Monrepo or go to Viewfort to get it done. He could have been at any ATM and be able to access his money. So this is very, very important.
I'm glad you mentioned that matter about the diaspora, and I want to know, is it possible right now? I mean, people who in the diaspora who may be working overseas, we have so many people on cruise ships now, for example, and they're a member of a credit union. Can they make contributions? I mean, is that happening? Common. Is that very common? Is that
common.
Okay?
Very, very common. As with everything else, once you meet the requirement or the requirements, then trust me, we facilitate it. We do. But in every credit union, you have persons out there who they never want to disconnect. They still want to form part and parcel of the credit union movement, and the credit unions reside right there.
Now, we're seeing also a tremendous shift in our financial services sector. I mean, we're hearing about things like de-risking. we've seen the impact that has had in terms of even commercial banks in the region, a number of them leaving, and then acquisitions happening there. And we've also seen, I would say, a plethora of microfinance institutions coming into the mix. How has that impacted the credit union services and its portfolio?
That's interesting, quite interesting. Let me deal with the microfinance. You do have members who go to. You do have members who go to the other microfinance institutions, but I will tell you something. Because of the interest rates, before long they come back home, and when they come back home, we now have to consolidate. They are our children. We basically call them our children. They
So
come
those are
back.
prodigal sons and
Yes, but we don't
daughters?
turn them down because they're part of us, and we recognize sometimes persons would engage in certain activities that would really affect them financially, and that's where we do a lot of financial counseling. So when a member comes back and asks for a consolidation, before they can get that, we sit them down and we tell them what would have caused them to be in that situation in the first place. We work out a financial plan for them such that they don't find themselves back in this trap. Some listen, and of course, you have some persons who may be chronic and want to go back because now they have more disposable income after we restructure loans and do certain things. So it's constantly educating them and letting them recognize that if you go to another financial institution that has exorbitant interest rates, it is not to your benefit. Come sit with your credit union, dialogue with your loan officer. They will find the best package for you, and it will be cost effective. As it pertains to de-risking, I can speak to it, but do you want to? I don't want to monopolize the mic.
It's just,
Well, either way, you can go ahead.
not necessarily speak to the risking, but since you mentioned some of the other challenges, something that faces a challenge that the credit union movement has to face squarely. I'm not totally sure how we are going to do it as yet. There are persons that are a lot more knowledgeable than myself who would maybe look into that, but for example, correspondent banking, that's a serious challenge. Then you also have the AML, which is anti-money laundering, and CFT?
Financing.
Yes, CTF, counter-terrorist financing, right. And those things are serious challenges.
And it is impacting the credit union services, similar to banks.
It's impacting the financial
services.
space.
Yes,
Everybody.
Everybody. For example, one of the requirements that credit unions will have to face pretty soon is that of what we call a compliance officer, who part of their duty would be ensuring that, instead of at the risk of making it look too simple, but ensuring that the credit union is compliant. That's one of their responsibilities. But again, that's where shared services come in. And I think one of the ways that we should be able to face that is if we again have that cooperation among cooperatives. So maybe one credit union might not be able to afford a compliance officer, but if you have a compliance officer serving 2 or 3 credit unions, they have sufficient work, plus the resources are shared, and then all the credit unions become compliant. So these are things that can be explored.
Indeed, and we would certainly have to have that conversation another time, perhaps, because we're running out of time, unfortunately. But I wanted to ask Mrs. Bailey, especially given that you're coming from the Teachers Credit Union, and you were speaking, of course, about the matter of the future and attracting new members. Is there still an active presence of credit unions in schools? Is that still happening? And how is that going?
Most schools have a thrift program. Most schools have a thrift program sponsored by various credit unions. Teachers would have the largest number, obviously, because we do have a presence in most schools. all the materials needed by the school is provided by the credit union. That's the sponsor. For instance, yesterday the credit union had a youth forum for a representative group of the different schools that's involved in the thrift. And of course, they get treated, and it's just sometimes a motivating factor for them to continue to save. In some schools today, you had persons coming in to address the students on International Credit Union Day and the relevance of saving. So I think it's active enough. We're always on board in terms of trying to assist and providing whatever is needed.
Excellent. And it's been quite a wonderful conversation. Unfortunately, well, the time has already escaped us. We started a little late, so apologies for that. And I'm sure. We can end by talking about just that. You can, through your wrap up, tell us a little bit as to what's happening, what's special for this particular day.
I mean, it's a celebration. Last Saturday, there was a wonderful lecture by the Library Credit Union at Royalton. I enjoyed it thoroughly. This evening, Teachers Credit Union is catering for over 500 people for a lecture and cocktail. I know Janu had a breakfast. Different credit unions are doing various stuff, family days, picnics, celebrating in whatever way they can. But it's not just for officers or volunteers and staff. It is actually for the members as well.
Wonderful. And I hope all of those 132,000 members and growing will be thinking about their credit union and ensuring that they play their part in doing just that. Any parting words as we move forward and end the program? Mr. Jean-Baptiste?
I also want to say that it's not just the day. The entire month of October is regarded, especially in St. Lucia, as Credit Union Month. I know there are a whole lot of other things that October, Creole Heritage
You mentioned
Month,
financial literacy as well.
Financial literacy.
Of course.
But remember in that it's also Credit Union Month. And especially today, as you said, most of the credit unions you will go to, well, I guess now it's around after 2, so some of them might be close to closing, but most persons will realize that if they go to the credit unions now, they will get some kind of treat.
Member Appreciation
Yes,
Day.
Member Appreciation Day. So that is something that the members I know look forward to.
So it's going to be worth going on the queue for.
Yes,
Yes.
they definitely look
Some
forward
come
to
just
that.
for that.
Yes,
Okay.
come just for that.
Wonderful.
It's theirs. It's their money
Yes,
anyway.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And like Mrs. Belize said, the monies that the credit union make belongs to the members. That's the members. That's one of the fundamental difference between our business model and the other ones. It belongs to the members, and we do not speak of profit. Speak of surpluses. The credit union make a surplus, not a profit. Also, one of the very importantly is the education of members. So we have an education budget and all of those things that members have to be, and that is one of the opportunities that we use during Credit Union Month to have workshops and all of those things to educate our members about our services, about their role, about how they can grow their credit union, and if they grow their credit union, by extension, they are improving their standard of living.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. We've been speaking to Mr. Daniel Jean-Baptiste, former director, immediate past director of the St. Lucia Cooperative Credit Union League, as well as the assistant treasurer of the Monrepo Eastern Credit Union, as well as the president of the St. Lucia Cooperative Credit Union League, Mrs. Martina Belize. And we've been talking about credit unions because it is International Credit Union Day. It is the 75th anniversary, and so we do wish everybody who is a member of a credit union in St. Lucia and of course around the world happy Credit Union Day. That's all the time we have today at the Lunchroom. We do hope that we can join us tomorrow, God willing, for another program of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calixte Jr., saying goodbye.